I want to thank both of you for being here, for your service to the country. We appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, Secretary Carter, you had said in answer to Senator Manchin that, in fact, the arms that we're providing to the Kurds, we're doing so with the consent of the Iraqi central government. Does that mean we're doing it directly, or are we going still through the Iraqi central government?
Well, first of all, we're not the only ones, but we and others basically convey the weapons directly to the Kurds, but we inform the Iraqi government and get their formal consent to it. So it doesn't delay the arming of the Kurds. We're trying to stick up for basically the central government.
Because previously we had heard complaints about it originally going through the Iraqi central government and then to the Kurds. So I'm glad to hear that we're directly providing it to the Kurds, letting the Iraqi central government know what we're providing.
Mr. Barzani was here in town. You may have met with him a few weeks ago, and he was grateful for what was being provided, and he noted that the delays, which is the principal problem that were experienced early on, are not being experienced now either in the shipment of our equipment or that of others. For example, the Germans providing anti-tank munitions, which they value very much. But we are trying to stick up for the principle that Iraq is a single, unitary, multi-sectarian state, and difficult as that may be, that is much preferred to the alternative, which is the sectarian disintegration of Iraq.
Let me follow up. So clearly the Kurds are capable and motivated, and at this point, what are they receiving all of the weapons that they've asked for? Because as I understood it, ISIS unfortunately has captured some of the armaments that we left in Iraq, and some of them heavy armaments. The Kurds are quite effective, but it's hard if you're out-armed. And are they now receiving, what have they requested that we're not providing, and if so, why?
I'll let Chairman Dempsey answer that, but again, just to say it's not just us. I think there are more than 12 nations overall arming the Kurds, and I noted I was with the German defense minister over in Germany last week, and she was providing to the Kurds these critical anti-tank weapons of a kind the Germans make that is especially effective. So it's not just us, and the Kurds are an example of what we're looking for, which is an effective ground force that'll stick up for itself, hold together, take and hold territory, and that's why we're providing them support.
So we agree with that. I think that there's been broad agreement on that, and so we just want to make sure that they have what they need.
Senator, I'm not aware of anything that they've asked for that we haven't provided. We probably haven't provided it in the quantity that they may have desired, MRAPs, for example, and we're working to address those quantity issues.
I wanted to follow up on a different topic because General Dempsey, you mentioned in your testimony some of the other challenges we face around the world, including the malign influence of Iran. And recently, I read it today in the press that, in fact, Iran was actually pushing for the lifting of the arms embargo at the UN, and also the resolution that bans Iran from developing ballistic missiles. So I wanted to get both of your thoughts on those two issues and the importance of, as we look at Iran's malign influence in the region. As far as I can tell, we still see Iran not only supporting the Assad regime, Hezbollah, the Houthi rebels, and also we've heard reports on the Taliban undermining our interests. So your thoughts on those two issues?
I'll start, Marty, if it's okay. You're right that I can't speak to what's going on in the negotiations. Secretary Kerry's conducting those negotiations, but I agree with your perspective, namely that we have serious concerns with Iranian malign activities outside of the nuclear issue, which is the focus of those talks. And it is in several different locations around the region. And whatever happens as far as an agreement over the nuclear program with respect to Iran is concerned, I think we, and certainly I feel this, have a clear duty in the Department of Defense, first of all, to defend our friends and allies, keep a robust posture in the Gulf, our friends and allies, to include especially Israel, maintain our robust posture, and continue to maintain the military means to strike Iran's nuclear program if we were ordered to do so. We work on all three of those things, and we'll work on them whether or not an agreement is reached in Geneva.
So just to be clear, Secretary, it doesn't sound like, based on what you're saying, given their malign activities in the region, that it would be a good idea to lift the arms embargo right now on what Iran receives. Would you agree with me on that?
No, we want them to continue to be isolated as a military and limited in terms of the kind of equipment and material they're able to.
And also, can you explain to us why is it important that we also continue to stop them from having an ICBM program? Because we know they have one.
Yeah,
also
that's
in the development.
Well, the reason that we want to stop Iran from having an ICBM program is that the I in ICBM stands for intercontinental, which means having the capability to fly from Iran to the United States, and we don't want that. So that's why we oppose ICBMs. Chairman, do you want to add anything on any of those points?
Just to answer your question, because you posed it to both of us, we should, under no circumstances, should we relieve pressure on Iran relative to ballistic missile capabilities and arms trafficking.
Thank you. I also just wanted to point out something, Secretary Carter, when the chairman had asked you about the defense authorization. One thing that I think needs to be pointed out, the president has said he will veto it. The defense authorization received 71 votes in the Senate. I would describe that as very bipartisan, and so it troubles me that he would seek to veto something that received 71 votes.
Thank you, Ms.